Alright, I'm back. Hopefully it's only one stream now. I know you guys like me, but I don't think you would like two of me. And tell me the sound, right? Because the sound is important. Too loud. All right. So let's turn it down a bit. How's the sound now? Is it better? Can you guys hear me? Huh? Your microphone gain is too high. I lowered it. Tell me how it's now. Um, Perfect sound. Oof. That's what I wanted to hear. Perfect sound. If it's too loud, I know the technology is there. There's like a dial on your computer. You can turn it down a little bit. Right. I mean, look at the gain. The gain is fine. Yeah. There we go. Put it in the middle. Right. Look, I don't work at CNN, right? Like I don't have the coverage that they do and the equipment that they do. I just have a little microphone. Let's see, we're working with the chat. You know how difficult it is to work with this lag? I've been dishes. I can't do it anymore. I'm about to quit. People want me to say Bolsonaro. All right. So I think it's good. I'm not rage quitting anymore, right? One rage quit per stream. That's the maximum. Okay. So it's not that not everyone can computers. Like you need to understand how this works. Every time I see that OBS is patching, I get sweaty. I honestly have nightmares at night. Like I go to bed and I go like no, oh god, and I'm feeling that the OBS is patching because this is what happens when I turn it on. Like I don't tinker with the settings. I don't do anything to it. Unless maybe when I leave, there's like a gnome that goes to the computer and goes to the OBS and tinkers with the settings. Either than that gets me to rage quit, which is really funny. Anyway, right? Let's talk about stuff. So, if you guys watch my videos on my main channel, I don't know why you guys would do that, but in the unlikely event that you do, I've been looking into the people working at Marvel, and they're a very interesting bunch. Their job is to make comic books, and their job is to also be editors. Now, if you look at their job, it's not very accurate because when you purchase a comic book from Marvel, many times you're going to find spelling errors and spelling mistakes, which is unacceptable for a company like Marvel. I mean, for Christ's sakes, you got like 20 pages. Right? It did not make sure that 20 pages of dialogue, this is like a chat bubble, it did not make sure that it's properly spelled. Like, it's not that hard. You know, like, you're a multi-million-dollar company. Come on. You know, like, you got staff that's doing that as a job. But no, apparently, right, that's not important. Then, if you look onto the Twitter, you realize why it's not important. Because they're too busy talking about politics nonstop. They're like CNN journalists, like CNN anchors. Like, just nonstop. They're talking about the hot topics of the day. And I want to focus our attention on this gentleman. Now, this gentleman, if you don't know, Mr. Dan Arrow, also, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think I'm mistaken, he was, how should I say, fancying Antifa. He was, promoting a U.S. government-labeled terrorist organization. That's fine, okay. But now it's a hot take, right? So this is from Ted Lieu. Ted Lieu says, as 2018 ends tonight, it would be appropriate to remember and honor all the police officers who died in the line of duty this year. There is no higher public service than to risk your life to protect the public. And I agree. You know, it's a tough job. I wouldn't be able to be a police officer. But Dan Arrow has a different take on this. And he says, they literally have one of the least dangerous jobs in the planet, and they hunt and murder people of color. Fuck bootlicking liberalism. It's like, wow, this is a very interesting thing. Now, as I looked at the top 20 dangerous jobs in the world, policemen were, if I'm not mistaken, like, among the first 17. Like, it is considered a dangerous job, but you know, like, it's not that Dan Arrow is wrong. Is that the poll is wrong? Is that the reality needs to change in order to fit Mr. Dan Ariely's worldview? Why do they have to be so condescending, though? This is like what I don't get. Like, they're so divisive. Do you know, like, police officers have kids, too? I know, shocking. It's almost like they're a civilian underneath that uniform. Do you think that kids are going to read your comics after knowing what you think about their dad? And, like, the absolute view of this person, like, he actually believes, like, he lives in a worldview where there's two officers driving, right? And one of the officers goes, like, person of color, where over there? And then they get out of the car and it's like, already shooting them down because they're mad with power. There was actually that, like, you think I'm joking, right? But I remember, like, during Trump election, there was this campaign for the Democrats, and it showed, like, all these diverse kids, like, they had a kid of every color besides white. And they all start running, and they're scared, and, like, the cop car just starts chasing them, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, what the hell is this? And do you know what it is? It's the progressive mindset. Like, they genuinely believe these things. They absolutely believe that this is the way things are going. It's, well, like, look, Dan Arrow, here's my hot take. If the police wants to kill people of color, all they have to do is to stop policing the neighborhoods. That's it. Like, they just pull out. Stop responding to 911. And deep inside, I genuinely believe it. They're like the Christians. Now, if you look at Christians, this is something that I never understood. Like, I'm sure like a Christian can probably explain it to me. I'm not trolling or anything like that. I'm not being disrespectful. It's genuinely what I believe, right? Like, I'm being 100% honest right now. When Christians say, okay, so your mom died, right? Okay, and they all say, don't worry, she's gone to a better place. Now, if that's the truth, then why are people happy? Because, okay, like, you're not going to see your mom for a while, but you're going to die eventually, and you're going to go to that same better place, and you're going to meet her, and you're going to live for eternity. Right? Like, isn't that how it works? Like, if you genuinely believe, like, if you're 100% convinced, it's like finding out that your mom, I don't know, has gone to a better place and is now living in America. I'm like, well, you know what? That's a good thing. Way to go, mom. But I think people are sad because deep inside they don't believe that, right? Now, maybe, this is how I understand. Like, I never believed this afterlife thing, not fully, at least. Other Christians, maybe they do, I don't know. But it's the same with the liberals, right? Who think that the police is out there to, I guess, seek and destroy people of color. They don't believe it either, because when you look at Black Lives Matter, who are blocking roads and stuff like that, and eventually a car, runs into protesters, the first thing that they do is that they scream for the police. It's like, oh, police, call 911. Why? Like, if you genuinely, why would you do that? Wouldn't they come and run you over as well? Because, right? So deep inside, they know it's not true. They know that their worldview is flawed. I'm a Christian, and I do not say that to people. I know lots of people go to hell. Yeah, I do agree, like, with that thing. I have a friend of mine who I know for sure, and he also knows for sure that his grandmother was, like, some of the most despicable person on earth. I'm not going to go into detail and explain how she managed to fuck her family over time and time again, but take my word for it. She was an evil lady. That woman wouldn't piss on a burning orphan if you paid her, right? And at the funeral, everyone was like, oh, this is a nice lady. Oh, wow, she's going to go into a better place. And me and my friend were looking at each other. It's like, really? I was looking at his parents. Even they wouldn't believe it. And this like tells me that when I'm going to die, I don't want that at my funeral. I don't want the priest to lie. I want the priest to say, V was a loudmouth asshole with stupid low IQ opinions, and the world is a quieter place now that he's dead. That's what I want at my funeral. I just want brutal, cold-hard honesty. If you died and beat me, that's probably not heaven, mate. Yeah. Apparently there's problems with my mic. It's speaking. It's like, look, I'm fixing that medium. Stop it. Like, I can't do it. I'm not fixing anything midstream. Anyway, let me read some super chats. Super chats coming now. We got Alexander Murdoch for $5. Compensation for fixing your dumb mic again. My mic is perfect. It's flawless. But what do you not understand, people? It's the same equipment. I'm not touching it between streams. It is very frustrating. Now I'll be thinking about it the entire stream. I'll be just, it's going to be on my mind. Hold on. All right, I just tinkered with it a little bit. Let me show you the image, right? So apparently you got the mic aux, and then you got like the desktop audio, and then you got the audio capture, but this one doesn't move at all. So it's just this one, and I put it in the green. There we go. Like, what else do you want me to do, huh? What else do you want me to do? I'll do it. Just tell me. I'll do it. Zixmar for €5. Let's rock 2019. And Captain of Video, the mic is fine. Party on the CV. Good morning from the West Coast, V. Is it snowing in Romania today? And at V's funeral, God kicked V from reality. I don't think it's snowing today. I haven't gone outside, to be honest. And the way I live, like, my building is looking towards an interior courtyard, so I can't see. But no, I don't think it's snowing today. All right, so let's go to another news, which to me seemed very interesting. Now, this was a practice. I don't know how to call it, right? In order not to be upsetting, but I understand all cultures are beautiful, so I can just look at the beauty of this one. So this is from the Friendly Atheist. Like, it's very rare to see atheists talk about Islam, but with something like this, I don't blame them. So apparently, video shows Islamic Bedouin judges forcing accused wife to lick red-hot iron. And it's a very interesting practice, right? Because there's a reason why she licks it. So legend has... Sorry, not legend. Oh my God. According to the Quran... No, not according to the Quran. I don't want to... According to the interpretation of the Quran by the Bedouins, they believe that if a person is lying, there is a way to find out the truth. The way you find out if a person is lying or not, I'm not kidding, it's in this article, and there's video evidence of it. You get a smoldering hot iron to the point where it is red. And then you ask the person to lick it 3 times, right? Not once, not twice, not 4, 3 times. The person has to lick the iron. And after that, if the person has a normal-looking tongue, then that person has not lied. But in the case that the person has blisters or injuries on the tongue, then that person is a liar. I mean, who am I to disagree? Like, all cultures are equal. I mean, this is a very cheap system. I think we should have it here in the West. Like, why spend money on lawyers and jury? Well, no, the jury might still be useful, and the judge, right? But just give the person a red hot iron and tell them to lick it. So there is footage of this. It's not bad. I'll tell you this. She might like. Let's see what the people think. Do you think she lied or not? So this lady was accused of stealing, I believe, $2,000 or $200 or something like that. I'll have to check it out because I don't want to misinform people, right? Don't want to push fake news. But tell me if you think she was innocent or not. All right, like one if she lied, 2 if she said the truth. What do you guys think? Did she pass the test or did she not? Let's see. So 1 for failure, 2 for passing. Did the woman lie? Alright, the people who said 2 that she didn't lie are the ones that are correct. Why do you assume that the test isn't working? Right? So apparently, I can show a little bit in the beginning, I guess. Let me just find out where the actual leakage takes place. See. It's not even that graphic, to be honest, but, you know, with YouTube, I can never be sure. I don't want to violate for sensationalism, right? Shocking and sensationalist, they call it. But informative and newsworthy, it's fine. So I'm just presenting the news right now. I'm just explaining to you that this practice exists. So, as you can see, right, I'll now have to delete the stream. Damn it! I'll delete the stream. You know what I need to do? I need to upload it on another place. That's what I'm going to do. But anyway, like it's as you can see, right? So this is a standard detection test, apparently, right? And by the way, it's banned in Egypt. Like, it's not part of the whole country culture. Like, apparently, it's illegal practice, which is good to know, right? So apparently, this guy is a judge, and his credentials is that his father was a judge, and his father before him. So, yeah. Now, I think this might not even be painful. It's the same as walking on coals, if I'm not mistaken. Like, under certain conditions, if you if you have a lot of saliva or stuff, you might actually not get burned, which is the case of her. Like this lady, as we're going to see, she passed the test. She managed not to get injured. Look, there you go. Right now, why is she crying? She's crying because this is a very emotional moment, obviously. And as you can see, what do you think happens to the accuser? What do you think happens to the person who accused her if she is innocent? Let's see if the chat knows. What do you guys think? Someone says that he's going to get his hand cut. Someone said that he's going to get... there we go. People are saying nothing. Nothing at all. You're wrong. You are wrong. There is something that is going to happen to the accuser. So, according to this tradition, right, if you accuse someone of doing something, then they have to pass the test. And if they pass the test, the person who has been falsely accused has to now hug his accuser. They have to make love, not war, hit the bed and not the floor. There you go. They must reconcile, you know, and it's a touching moment. It's like one of those reality TV shows, you know, it's like, she is not your father type of moment. And then there's the explanations. We are told about the, the mission and whatnot. I say that I find a couple of flaws with this system. It kind of emboldens the accuser, I would say. Like, if there's no consequence for the accuser, then... But then again, like, no, look, hold on, right? Let's think this through. This is actually better than the one with the witch. Because the one with the witch, like, testing to see if a person is a witch or not, is to throw her in the water. If she floats, she's a witch. If she sinks and she dies, she's a woman, and wasn't a witch. So, in either case, the person dies. So it's a horrible test. But in this particular scenario, if you actually believe in the validity of the test, like, you actually believe that this is a way that Allah is going to show if somebody is lying or not, if the person is telling the truth, they do not get injured. So nothing happens to them. Like, nothing happened with this lady. So why would the accuser have to suffer anything? Because people who don't lie can lick the iron and not get away, not have anything happen to them. So if you think about it that way, it's a very fair system. The problem, I would say, lies in the science and the research being placed into developing the system. I think it needs a little bit more work. I think they need to think it through a little bit. The people that are immune to this are probably people with no tongue. Like, what do you do if someone lies in court documents or something? Yeah, you can't, right? But other than that, I think it's a better system than the one with the witch. And by the way, it's illegal. Don't do it. She licked progressively hotter irons for weeks before the test. See, so people are already thinking about how to cheat the system. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think you should cheat the system. I think you should take it on faith. Well, apparently this is illegal in Egypt, right? Because it happened in Egypt. It's only a couple of tribes that are practicing it, and apparently the punishment is prison. So these people will go to jail. But the thing that I don't get is that why are they so open and talking with the cameraman, and they're being so, okay with it? Like, I get it's illegal, but if I were committing some criminal activity and the press would come watching me commit said criminal activity, I would at least ask to hide my face. I would at least ask to mask my voice or something. But in this case, they're very open about it, which leads me to believe that the system is not being enforced. Like, yeah, it's illegal to do it, but apparently people are still doing it. So there's that. Immunism tongue to heat by eating curry all day. None of them know what the camera is. See, I disagree because they do have glasses and they have like smartphones and modern technology. It's not like they're in the 9th century or something. People want me to go to the next story. Why are you in a rush, Eddie James? Why are you in a rush? Let's go to the next story. Very well. And I'll have to delete the stream now. God damn it. Moving from one religion to another, New York Times praises radical environmentalist who killed himself to save Mother Gaia. The New York Times has treated one man's deranged act of self-immolation as some sort of noble sacrifice worthy of reverence. Well, it's not like the New York Times have any shred of human decency and ethics or anything like that. I mean, clearly the man is deranged, I would say. I don't think it's okay to glorify his act of death, not to mention by setting himself on fire, he also probably added to the overwhelming carbon in the atmosphere. But, just, oh my god. Anyway, earlier this year, a radical environmentalist, it's like, no, you don't have to say radical, it's just... After reading the title, I know. David Packel demonstrated his love for Mother Gaia by lighting himself on fire. In Brooklyn's Prospect Park, in order to set an example, wait, he did it in the park, like, isn't that, did Smokey the Bear have anything to say? You know, like, I'm making jokes and stuff like that, but it's actually quite sad, like, this person was clearly deranged, you know, he's got a family and whatnot. But anyway, so in the suicide note, the 60-year-old gay rights activist, LGBT activist, right? Was it just for the gays, like not the L and the B and the D? Said his use of fossil fuels to immolate himself was to make a point about what humans are already doing to themselves. Did you get the point, chat? Most humans on the planet now breathe air made unhealthy by fossil fuels, and many die early deaths as a result. By early death by fossil fuel reflects what we are doing to ourselves. Honorable purpose in life invites honorable purpose in death. This definitely sounds like a very sane individual that the New York Times should turn into a hero. In an obvious ploy to somehow articulate his derangement as something poetic, Buckle likened his death by inferno to that of Buddhist monks who would self-immolate to protest China's occupation of Tibet. This is not new, as many has chosen to give a life based on the view that no other action can be most meaningful. Here is a hope that giving a life might bring some attention. Well, apparently the New York Times did bring some attention. The obituary then described the life Buckle lived as saint-like, and whose final moments would be interpreted as an incandescent act of speech. For years, Buckle sought to negate the harm he caused with the continual turning of windows and recycling of water, until these measures came to seem inadequate. One challenge with climate change is that the problem is so large it cannot be grasped. What can be grasped is a healthy man with a satisfying career and a loving family, a man who lived an almost saint-like life. This is the New York Times. Like, you know what I keep saying? That the newspapers are like the churches. Now they're anointing saints. But I need to get a saint calendar for the New York Times to know if I need to worship Saint Buckle today. It's just... he died in a painful way in a public park in Brooklyn, abruptly reducing a unique living system to ash. Buckle appears to have seen his final moments as an incandescent act of speech. Every time I'm going to go past environmentalists with my kid, I'm going to punish my kid. I'm going to say, you know what? When you go home, no supper. You go to bed, no supper. Why? You saw the environmentalists. I'm going to take away your allowance money. Why, Daddy? You saw the environmentalists. I want to create this trauma in my child's brain that's going to be healthy for him, so that when he grows up, he knows to stay away from these people. Honestly, this is like, it would be child abuse, not to. Imagine if this happened to your kid. Imagine if your kid joined these groups of people that are taking this to a religion, like it's being compared by the New York Times. This is not me doing it. This is the New York Times. They're comparing this to the Tibetan monks. They're comparing it to a religion. And then when this guy set himself on fire, they're comparing him to a saint. No. Absolutely not with my kid. My God. Glorifying suicide victims as martyrs and object of public adulation may suggest to susceptible persons that their society honors suicidal behavior. Who instead is the emphasis should be on mourning the person's death. My God, this was definitely an interesting read. Mentally ill is not a saint, by the way, just saying. Koopa7, 2 euros, welcome to 2019. Yeah, what a great way to start the year. Zixbar05, 2 euros. I also praise self-immolation of leftists. Man, you know, like, I get it, the guy you might not like, but he probably had a family, and it's just, this is because of the stupid ideology that they were being pushed. I mean, Jesus. Yeah, and even then, it's like, what are the journalists doing? Like, what is the New York Times doing? You know, why do they glorify this person's death? Like, they want a statue for him or something. Anyway, anywho, should we talk about Bolsonaro now? Or no, never mind. We got time for a couple of more news. So there's a website. Now I'm genuinely not showing it because it has dildos on. But maybe I can find a way to show it without showing the dildos. There we go. So this website you can find on Steven Crowder's blog, and he talks about it. It's called Trans Kids. the website. Okay, go and find Trans Kids because I'm hiding it now so that you don't see the picture of the dildos. It's called Trans Kids, a website to buy a fake penis for your child. Why would you want to buy a fake penis to your child? Well, apparently, if your child wants to transition and he wants to see how it's like to be the other gender, you can purchase this little... I don't even know how to call it. I'll try to describe it to you. It looks like a small, unerect penis, and it comes in different colors. I assume this is the color palette is based on the race that your child is. So you got anywhere between vanilla to chocolate. Like you have to take your kid and I guess you raise this little dildo next to his skin and you see if the color matches, and that's how you buy it. Apparently, it's supposed to... My God, like I can't even make fun of this. This is just abhorrent. I suppose this is capitalism. Like, no, seriously, like if the left ever wants to criticize capitalism, here you go. Like, there's nothing illegal about it, right? Like, these people from the website Trans Kids noticed a niche on the market. They noticed that there is a little bit of wiggle room, so they can get the corner of the market, and they set up shop. And apparently, people buy it. So you know, I mean, can't fault the market for it. But I can't fault the parents buying these. That's something that I can do. Yeah, you can go on and you can buy a fake penis for your daughter. And that is something that you can do. Trans Kid is run by Sarah, who also runs a site for trans guys. After years of helping adults find high-quality gender expression gear, this is how it's called, by the way. I call it a little penis, but okay. She saw the need for a site and store that focuses more on kids and their unique needs, she calls it. Sarah hopes that all parents coming here can trust that this is a safe and affirming place. Well, I wouldn't want to go on a website to buy a little penis for my 5-year-old daughter that was unsafe. The website, I mean. Jesus fuck, right? But helping your kids live fully and embodied is our goal. She uses the word safe a couple of times, by the way. A website which sells dildos for children isn't a safe space for anyone. This is, according to Stephen Crowder, this is his hot take. It's a sick place, he calls it. It's a dangerous place, he says. It's a place which exists in nightmares and the fantasies of pedophile perverts. Honestly, if I tell a Romanian that this website exists, they will not believe me. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, if I tell, do you know there is a website? They will say it's a joke. But according to this website, is yes, we ship all packages discreetly. Why would you ship it discreetly? Isn't it a reason for celebration? Isn't it like, you know, the coming out festivity and whatnot? What the hell is wrong with us? Asked Stephen Crowder. Parents are buying dildos for their children. My God, you people. I'm not the one who encourages self-sterilization, but if you think it's totally fine, safe, and even good to buy a strap-on for your daughter, go visit a doctor and have yourself neutered or spayed, says Stephen Crowder. See, this is hateful rhetoric. I can't read it anymore. It is very upsetting for me to read this bully, Stephen Crowder, who uses his platform as to spread hate. I don't know why the payment processors haven't caught up to him yet, but no, I'm not going to use my platform to copy his vile words of transmisogyny. Let's see the super chats. I got one from Alec Handor, 5. I think they're Polish body. Man, I feel bad for you because the Romanian government just took control of the EU council, right? The presidency of the council, I think. And they said that they're going to work against Poland and Hungary. And I'm like, what? Why? But yeah, I'm sorry. I do apologize for my government. They do not represent the people. Kuba7 for €5. Please tell me again why we celebrate today that the West won against Hitler. Do you think this would have been possible if his global empire, be honest? No, I do not. I can't say I do. But on the other hand, like if your kid was born with some malformity, that could have been dealt with. They would try also their way to push eugenics on the population. So if you had a malformity, you might not be allowed to have sex. Depends, like how much were they willing to push the ideology? Like how much were they willing to go with it? But one thing is for sure, like they were trying to get the state to educate kids. So one of the ways they did that was that the parents would have long work hours, and while the parents were at work, the kids had to go to this Hitler youth camp where they would be told that they need to worship freedom. A great thing, but freedom was also freedom from your parents, like freedom from, you know, doing what your parents tell you to do. So they were trying to get the kids to believe in what the state tells them to do rather than what the parents would educate them. And you'd have, if I'm not mistaken, like very young girls in Nazi Germany getting pregnant at very young ages. Like they were married, of course. But anyway, I get the discussion for another time. Over 5 years and to abort people who would have been sick their whole life is so much worse than aborting randomly 40 million people a year like today, right? I would rather have neither. Like I'm somewhere in between. I do think banning abortion is a bad thing because it was banned in my country and there are consequences for it. But at the same time, I do think there should be a social stigma from doing it. Like it shouldn't be just as easy as getting a birth control pill. You know, like getting like 2 abortions for the price of one. I think that's a little bit too much. Anyway, let's go to some other news. Let me see if I got more because well, today was the one that kept on giving. So the Trump wall. Apparently, it's gotten over $14 million in like 5 days. It's never going to meet its quota, but it does start to spark conversations. and this is something that I took from Facebook. In 5 days, less than 1% of America raised $50 million to help fund a steel wall. Less than 1% of America in 5 days. We repeat this as a mantra. That's enough money to fix Flint, Michigan water crisis today. That's enough money to build and open shelters for the 14,000 homeless veterans that we have. That's enough money to cover 400 chemo treatments for people who are suffering through cancer without insurance. How evil are we? We fucking suck. All right, so many things are happening here. Let's unpackage it, as the leftists say. Like let's unpackage the things that I said. I love how leftists are very charitable with what other people do with their money. Right? Like, notice this. When they talk about what other people do with their money, it's charity. But when you talk about what you want to do with your money, it's greed. Right? Isn't it interesting? Secondly, I have a strong doubt that it's just $50 million to fix Michigan's water problem. Like, you're pulling this out of your ass. I have a strong feeling. And you know what? If you genuinely feel that way about Michigan, why aren't you starting a GoFundMe campaign to fix Michigan's water problem, huh? No, you don't want to do that. You want to be the one that's the armchair psychologist, trading people. Also, I love how he managed to do the hat trick, the virtue signaling hat trick. Like, so little line said, and yet 3 virtue signals. If not, and also using we. Because the individuality from this person has been robbed. He can't think as I, myself, me. No. I is gone. I is dead. Welcome to the Borg. We are the collective resistance is futile. Interesting. Yeah, seriously, if you want to fix Michigan, do you know how you can fix Michigan's water supply? I'll tell you how. Some people on the left, not all, hashtag, but some people on the left have become so obnoxious and have become so full of themselves that other people just hate them. They do. And if you get the left to try to prevent the Michigan water problem from being solved, people are going to try to fix the Michigan water problem just to spite the leftists. And it has gotten to that point. It has gotten to the point that if you get, I don't know, whomever you want from the left, just anyone that's, like, get all of Marvel. You know, get Marvel editors to say that Michigan deserves to be dropped. They deserve that to have clean water. Get all of the Marvel editors to tweet that constantly. You're going to have people that start a charity in order to fix Michigan's water problem. Like, I guarantee it. I am willing to put money on this. If it doesn't happen, I will pay, you know, each and every one. I don't know how much I can afford. We need to discuss the price. But trust me on this one. And I know things. Like, I am telling you that this would happen. And the way it would probably happen is if you get Trump to tweet something about Michigan's water problem, then the newspapers are going to be against it. Like, they're against everything that Trump does. Like, and I'm not even kidding. When he said Happy New Year, there were people that were saying that he needs to fuck off. If you get Trump to tweet something about Michigan, then the newspapers like the New York Times and Jezebel and BuzzFeed and all of the others, they're going to be livid about it. And they're going to say, no, Michigan deserves not to have good water. And then you're going to have the actual people that are pissed off in the left and they're going to fix it. Sad world we live in. I'm just here to tell you the truth. Even if you don't accept it, seek it into your heart, you know it will be true. The Daily Beast, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, my bad. Kuba7 for €5. Speaking of the Borg, how far did you rewatch The Next Generation now, or did you stop? I managed to get to season 2, I have to say. It's very difficult to watch this type of episodic content, because the episodes don't have anything to do with one another. So it's very easy to get out of it, right? Like the way they do TV shows nowadays, that every single episode kind of ties in. Like if you want to watch Better Call Saul, or you want to watch, I don't know, Prison Break or anything like that, it's very difficult to stop, because every episode finishes in a way that you want to know more. With Star Trek, it's like the first episode matters, and then the finale matters, and everything that happens between the first episode and the finale could just be placed in any order you want, because they're standalone stories. By the way, the Orville, very interesting. If you don't know about the Orville, I got an interesting DM, which I want to show it to you guys. And as I mentioned, it's big if true. Let's see, let me see if I can find it. Sorry, Ethan Van Skyver just saw the tweet regarding the police. That comes from a Marvel editor, and he said just a single word, just one word, and he covered like all of the reactions. He said, and I quote, Jesus. And I think that's all that's to be said. Damn it, I can't find it. Right, so there was a picture. I'll look for it a little bit more. Hopefully, I do manage to find it, because I know I retweeted it. And it kind of shows the magic of Disney, is how I like to say. No, I didn't retweet it. All right, so there we go. I found it. Ha! I'm the best. Oh yeah, nothing's gonna ever keep me down. I'm the best. So this is the Orville. Right now, the Orville is a very interesting case. Apparently, it got 27% of the critics that hate it and 94% of the audience that like it. Why do we need critics? I don't know. But they're better than you. Now, the thing is, a lot of people think that this is due to the fact that the director, the guy who is starring in it, I think he's also the director, he might be a little bit of a right-winger. Now, I personally don't think so. Like, I mean, I guess by Hollywood standards, but Hollywood is so left that, again, if they reach their hands, they touch Hitler from the other side of the horseshoe. So I guess for them, someone that's even a little bit left of Stalin is still right wing. But the thing is, they don't like the guy, and they also tackle some social issues within the episodes that the progressives don't like. But I think another big reason is that it's competing with the actual Star Trek. And by competing with the actual Star Trek, it takes away from people actually watching a good, decent, progressive story about a woman named Michael Burnham, right? And if you don't get to see that, then it's a crime against humanity. So of course they have to shut down the competition from Star Trek. That's my opinion, right? Like, it's not backed up by facts or anything. It's just my hypothesis. It's like, how dare you compete with Star Trek and not be as progressive as Star Trek? But the audience loves it. If you look at Star Trek Discovery, it's the opposite. Now, after Disney buys the Orville, all of a sudden the magic of Disney takes place. 100% critics all of a sudden change their mind. You know what? If Disney buys it, probably a great show. I really dread the Disney buy-in. I really don't like it. I watched the first season. It was really great. A couple of episodes here and there that I was like a little bit meh. But overall, even though I didn't agree with all of the politics that they were talking about, like some of them I disagreed, at least they were presenting it in an interesting way. For example, there was this alien species that only had males. And after two guys from that alien species married, they managed to have an egg. And as one of the gentlemen from that pleasant household sits on the egg hatches, and he notices to his shock that it turns out it's a woman, right? And just like the Chinese people, they were scared about the fact that they managed to produce a female offspring. And according to their culture, women did happen every now and then, but they were very shunned by society. So I guess for the parents, in order to want their kid to have a normal life, wanted to call a doctor in order to perform a transgender surgery on the baby. And this is when the couple starts to fight. One of the parents wants the surgery, the other parent doesn't want the surgery. And they have this entire discussion around it. And, there's this whole storyline, and it's really great made. But the overall theme was, should parents be able to decide the gender of the child before the child even reaches maturity? Like that was actually, the conversation. Now, in the end, they did force the child to have the gender therapy, like a judge forced it in the movie. I didn't like the resolution, but you know what? At least they presented the other side of the argument in a way that I think it did justice to it. I don't think they strawman the other side. It didn't come out as preachy. It wasn't just trying to indoctrinate the viewer that this is the only correct choice. So it did the politics in the right way, I would reckon. But the critics don't like that. It's like, no, if you tackle social justice issues, you should do it like Supergirl does. Supergirl, if you watch any of those episodes, and you're right now with the needle in your arm getting chemo from the cancer that you just got into your system, they're always preachy. They're like just one way. The characters are going to have just long monologues. They're going to sometimes even change the nature of the character to the point where it doesn't make sense in the plot, just so that they can have some new social justice message being pushed in, right? And that is the only correct way that you tackle politics in entertainment. Holy shit, I got the red super chat. I haven't seen them a lot. Alright, next month, next €50 for the Get V to watch Yusho Senki episode 1 fun. The German soldier lolly needs your support. I am not watching anime. I am not reading books. And no. Just please stop it. You're making me feel bad. Like, you give me money because you like my show, and I read the super chats. That's it. Jesus. Horrible person. Maro Bailey, €5. Check out the best brony degenerate artist, Rosa Del Mar. I know, it's my brony. Like, every single time I go into the chat, the brony appears, watches my stuff, and he grows up. Right. Apparently it's pink. Is it? I don't have my glasses on. That's the best excuse that I can come up with. It is pink. But my monitor is faulty, and I see it as red, so... If I see it as red, does it make it red? Is it a subjective experience type of thing? Huh? Let's go to Bolsonaro, because this is who I wanted to talk about. So here's my take on it. Now, recently, the devil of the internet, Satan himself, Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, has been tweeting out about Bolsonaro, and the left are very upset. They're very furious about it. And let me show you why. Because if you haven't, like, even if you like Sargon or you don't like Sargon, it's irrelevant. Right? Like, just take your feelings out of the conversation for a sec, because I'll tell you why it's funny. When you get people with a hammer and sickle lecturing you about ethics and morality on Twitter, I think that's funny. Like, I genuinely think that's funny. When you have someone with a black flag and someone with a hammer and sickle actually being concerned about human lives and fairness and whatnot, I go like, like, it's just like, I can't help myself. That's my first reaction. My gut reaction is to go like, yeah. But here's what happened. Right? This is how I summarized everything, because the thing with Sargon is that he reads a lot of books, and he stopped talking like a human. The only language he knows is to talk in pompous flattery, right? That is the only way he can express himself. So I need to come here and just translate into normal English. But this is like what he has been trying to say. People like myself, like him, and Tim Pool, a lot of people from the YouTube commentary section, we keep saying that if the left keeps maintaining course, like for example, selling dildos to kids, they will eventually cause people to vote for right-wing extremists. Because here's what's happening, right? You're going to get a moderate that comes to the table. And they're going to shut him up because it's like, oh, hate speech, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to shut down his platform. And then there's going to be someone that's a little bit less moderate coming on. And it's the same thing like natural selection, right? Eventually, you're going to get someone that's going to survive in your environment, either because he can navigate the labyrinth like Jordan Peterson, but there's like very few people that can be like Jordan Peterson to just talk for 2 hours and still be politically correct while talking about the subject that's not politically correct. Like that is a skill. You know, say what you want about him again, like that is a skill. Or you're going to get people like Bolsonaro who just goes like falsity, which means fuck it. He actually went on television like fuck leftist human rights. You know what I mean? So people like me were warning the people on the left, like just stop it. If you keep going to the way you're going to get right-wing radicals elected. You're suppressing the people. If you silence them, it doesn't get the problem to go away. No, it's just that they're still there. And guess what? The prediction happens. Now, I don't think Bolsonaro is fascist. I'm going to go and explain why that is. But I'm willing to, you know, like, they're pretending like he is, so let's assume he is, right? Okay, so the prediction happens. And then when people like me come up and say, we told you so, they're like, oh my God, you support radical extremists. Like, the left did nothing wrong. Dude, he got stabbed during the elections, okay? Like, maybe there was something wrong. Like, if I would go to a point that I would say that got him a couple of votes, is when he got stabbed by a leftist. Now, people say, no. See, the person who stabbed him was a crazy person because he believed God told him to. Okay, so basically it was just like an Islamist, right? There's no difference. But the thing is, like, that person was a member of the Brazil Socialist Party. Like, how can you claim, even if he was crazy? And even then, you look at the people on social media cheering the fact that the guy got stabbed. Like, do you not see a problem with it? Is this how the left has a conversation now? Is that like when you shift 7 mana and you play the last card, like stab the opponent? Let's look at Bolsonaro for a little bit so you guys can understand what type of person he is. Then we're going to talk a bit about him. I'm gonna get the one with the flucity. I like the way he says it. Right? There we go. Here we go. It's flucity. My bad. It's flucity. Here we go. Alright, so I think people got a little bit of knowledge into who this gentleman is. So what do I think about it? Okay, first of all, I think Brazilians are very similar to Romanians in one regard. We don't really care about your ideological horseshit. Like, generally we don't. What we care about is money. Like, Romanians and Brazilians, and I think Mexicans to some regard, like, we understand money better than other people. Like, for me, it doesn't matter, like, oh, the country, the white race, the men, no. You tell me, who do I elect that gives me more money, right? And what happens when you get less money? You get less money when people are corrupted. And there was a massive scandal in Brazil involving a lot of leftists, and it exposed a lot of corruption in the government. A lot of people in office were stealing money, all right? And they basically voted for Bolsonaro for the financial reason. Because when he says, they accuse me of everything besides corruption, that is a huge vote winner. They can accuse him of everything. They can accuse him of, helicopter rights or whatnot. People don't care. We're talking about the country that is the murder capital of the world, if I'm not mistaken. Like, it's got so many deaths. If I remember from the last statistic, like 170 people get shot every day. And by the way, guns are banned. Like, they're already illegal in Brazil, right? So, like, people are used to this death. Like, they only want someone that's not corrupt. And I definitely think that's one of the main reasons why Bolsonaro managed to get elected. Now, secondly, regarding the accusation that he's a fascist, let's actually talk about what fascism is. It is the devotion of the state worshipping, right? This is what fascism is. I don't see Bolsonaro raising the state to this godhood level that everyone needs to dedicate themselves for the state and everyone needs to worship the state. If you look on Wikipedia on the Chilean president, God damn it, what was his name? I have like a mental block. God, I can't remember the name of the Chilean president. The one with the helicopters. Pinochet. Right. If you look at Pinochet on Wikipedia, the academics don't consider him to be a fascist. Okay, he's a populist, and they explain why. He doesn't talk about the glory of the ancestors. He doesn't talk about the revitalization of the nation, and he doesn't talk about the state as being the ultimate thing. This is what fascism is. It's like everything within the state, nothing outside the state, nothing against the state. I don't see Bolsonaro doing anything like this. I think he's a very aggressive, incredibly aggressive conservative. Right? Not everyone who is not 100% for democracy is going to automatically be a fascist. So we need to understand the definitions. Now, there's also a difference between being against LGBT propaganda and LGBT activists pushing their ideology in schools and wanting to start to become like ISIS and throw gay people off of buildings. Like, there is a middle ground. And I don't think that Bolsonaro is going to start executing gays like people with a hammer and sickle tell me that he's going to on Twitter. Because Brazil is an international community. And if he would do that, if he would stop murdering his own people, then America and other nations would boycott Brazil. And they don't want to be placed in that situation. Nor do I see him fight against democracy. Like, I don't see him try to, for example, abolish the parliament or abolish the judicial system. Or, I don't see him do that. And you know what's funny about the leftists? You know what's funny about the people with the hammer and sickle? They don't come out and complain when Erdogan does that. Like, in Turkey right now, there is an actual person that is a fascist. Like, he's actually creating a system that wants people to worship the state, that wants him to become president for life, that wants to diminish the powers of the other institutions of the state. You don't see the people with hammer and sickle worry about them. In fact, I bet that if I support Erdogan on my Twitter right now, you won't find a single leftist complaining. But if you say anything about Bolsonaro, they freak out. And they don't complain when Venezuela does it. And it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure that if I get a leftist right now, and I talk to him, he's going to be like, oh yeah, Erdogan is an meh. But it's like, it's not proactive, right? It's a passive way. Like, if you get them and you ask them about it, they will be like, complaining about it and saying it's not okay. But like, they're not actively going to people who support Erdogan and complaining to them. No. Why do you think that is? I'll tell you why it is. It's because they know that Erdogan is against Marxism. Like, Marxism can't flourish with him at the helm. He's not the best president. I personally wouldn't want him in my country because he's a little bit too aggressive in my opinion. But like, it's Brazil. You have to look at the country. There is a problem with crime in Brazil. Like, you can't just ignore it. And the left not only ignores it, but makes excuses for it. Like, when he says it's like, oh, people think they need more culture. Like, no, they need punishment, right? So there was this leftist that says, oh, like, this person is endangering minorities. Well, don't you think minorities are already in danger with the huge crime wave that's happening in Brazil? Is that not a problem? Marcus Aurelius for 10 CHF. Always use lube when you go anal. You don't want penile earring, it hurts. Thank you for the tip. PLS at $5. Brazilian here. The left is going nuts over anything Bolsonaro says does. It's uncanny how similar it is to the US with the reaction to Trump. Yeah, another thing, like, it's very difficult for me to get news about Bolsonaro because literally everything about him is editorialized. Everything that I get from the press is with a spin on it. Like, there's nothing that just tells me what the guy said. And I realized the same with Steve Bannon. Like, when Steve Bannon went on Sargon of Akkad's channel and they did the interview, I thought that Steve Bannon is going to be like a strong right-winger. Like, I thought, if this man takes the political compass, holy shit, he's going to be out of the axis. And when I heard Steve Bannon talk, I was like, this leftist dude, it's like, why is he so left? I was like, why is he not a Democrat? And then, like, it clicks to me. It's like, I wouldn't know his ideology had someone neutral just interview him. And I'm not saying that Sargon was neutral, but he allowed the man to speak. And it was for the first time ever that I actually hear Steve Bannon just express his opinions. Whenever he goes to an interview, like CNN or any other alphabet soup net or Comedy Central or whatever, they don't allow him to speak. They constantly interrupt him. They constantly change the topic. They ask him loaded questions like, oh, why are you a sexist? And finally, like, you get the actual man talking, and you understand, this is not even a right winger. Like, this is a leftist person. Like, the only reason they say he's right wing is because he's for borders. And it's like, since when? Since when is caring about the borders a right wing issue? It's like me saying that, yeah, I think that I should lock the door to my house. That would make me a right winger. This is insane. In Romania, we have soldiers patrolling the border. They shoot people. A couple of years ago, a person got shot because they tried to run away from the border. I think they tried to cross it the other way. They tried to run Romania. Turns out he was a criminal that was trying to escape the police jurisdiction. But they shot him at the border. We have military there. They don't fuck around with the border. It's important. Is Romania right wing now? Are we a fascist nation because we defend the border? We defend Hungary's border as well, I understand. Like, there's a joint military operation where Romanians patrol Hungarian borders and they patrol our air skies in return. Like, there's cooperation between the Hungarians. I don't like it, but it is. But that's the thing, right? Like, it's interesting to point out that this exists. And of course, they don't go like movement. It's not that way of patrolling the border. Movement, where over there? That's not how we do it. No, it's like stop or I'll shoot. If he keeps running, they shoot in the air, like a warning message. If he keeps running, they aim for the legs. Apparently, they missed. Shot him in the back. But happens. Should have stopped the first time he got the warning. But that's the reality of the situation here, and people know it. They know it. The border doesn't sneak up on people. It's not that one day you're here and the next day you're over the border and you're getting shot. No. It's like trying to break into someone's home. If I go in America and I try to break into someone's home, what will happen to me? I mean, they actually do go like movement over there. The purest form of cancer, $10. Don't be silly, be a smarty. Come and join the Nazi party. I'm lucky. I'm so lucky that I'm deleting the stream, aren't I? Tropical Toucan, $5. But it's about a Japanese business reincarnated as blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl in alternative pre-World II Germany with magic guns. I get it. It's that I don't have time. I wish I could live stream games like I used to. Manos Bali for €5. Check out the best Brony Generate artist, Rolling Hard. You should give me €5 more because I read your super chat twice. Christian Verti, leftist, forget Vin Diesel world. This is Brazil. Was that a thing? Make time. No, it's impossible. So anyway, let's see what Bolsonaro did to piss off the left today. Here we go. So according to this, why do they always show like uncharitable pictures of the people they don't like? Huh? I mean, come on, there has to be a better picture. I love this one though. Like his eyes are sad, yet he is smiling, and around him are very mean people. Like look at this guy. Like this guy looks like he's serious. Like he's about to do business. You know, he's not kidding around. He's not joking around. And wow, this could actually be a good Renaissance painting if you look at it. Like what is this guy doing? Like this guy's a little bit amused. Like he's going to start to chuckle soon. But no, this guy, this is the one that draws all the energy. Anyway, newly elected president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, is calling on the firing of non-elected government officials who are known to have communist views. Why is it illegal? It's not even discrimination, right? Unless you go to the Human Charter, which is something that I would agree with, by the way. And add the fact that you shouldn't discriminate based on ideology. Why are you moaning? The left does this all the time. According to Brazilian media outlet, the call came from the first official meeting of the presidential cabinet. Bolsonaro, staff of Orville Lorenzoni, announced the move saying that society said enough to socialist and communist ideas that in the last 30 years have led us to the current chaos. It does not make sense to have a government like the one we have now, with people who defend other ideas or another form of society's organization. According to him, 300 officials on temporary contracts who are believed to have communist views are being dismissed from their duties, and they will continue to identify other officials known to have those views. Oh, he's McCarthy them. Bolsonaro is known for being a right-wing populist, much in the same mold as President Trump. He has been dubbed Trump of the tropics by some. His distinction as Trump-like politician comes from his anti-establishment position and bold proclamation like his pledge to follow Trump's lead in moving Brazil's Israeli embassy to Jerusalem. That's actually a smart move. I know a lot of Americans don't like it, but basically, allying with the United States would be the smartest move for Brazil. Like if I was Bolsonaro, I would do my best in order to try to please the orange man as much as possible, because that would open the way to trade with the United States. That would open the way. Like he could even actually ask for military intervention. Like I know this sounds crazy, right? But you have to understand there are areas of Brazil controlled by the mafia or the gangs that are so violent that you would actually need, in order to pacify them, you would need forces that are equipped with doing this. And the stable Brazil would also be good for the United States, because like you want rich countries around you so you can trade with. Dear Mr. President Trump, I truly appreciate your words of encouragement. Together under God's protection, we shall bring prosperity and progress to our people. Oof. The left doesn't like this at all. Here's another thing. But like when I say gangs, I know it's very difficult for people to imagine, but Brazil is one of the worst nations in the world when it comes to people being killed. Unless you probably look into Africa and stuff. But still, like from America, it is. So yeah, the left doesn't really like it. It's like, leave our communists alone. Christian Verti, €2. Is he going to chuckle smartly? The purest form of cancer for $10, Sister Senpai. The walls of your border are so tight and well secure. Yeah. 60,000 murders in Brazil last year. Yeah, that's a little big, I think. A little too much, you know. It might be time for someone to step in. And by the way, I need to remind people, guns are banned in Brazil. Like, you can't, there is no Second Amendment. And do you know what Bolsonaro wants to do? He wants to give a Second Amendment to people in Brazil so they can buy guns and defend themselves. I think that's an excellent idea. That is definitely one of the best ideas, and the left is fuming. But not to mention, like, they're saying, oh, he wants to harm minorities. How does he want to harm minorities if he's going to arm them? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Any fascist government, when they want to oppress people, the first thing they do is they take away their arms. They take away their guns. Just think of this logically. Just think of it from a rational perspective. Let's say you are a bully at school, and you want, like, there's this little guy that you want to bully, and you want to hurt, but he's got a gun. How would you be able to hurt and bully him? You take away his weapon, and then you hurt and bully him. You can't do it if he's got a gun. Maro Bale, here you for loving big books, only Romanian. Also, give me wrench. If Rosal and Alice have it, I deserve it too. They are both beneath me. Well, since you asked so nicely. You know what's going to be interesting? I wonder if Brazil will actually improve economically over Bolsonaro's policies, if Brazil will actually manage to stand down the crime. And I'm curious, if I'm going to be here in 5 years, if YouTube doesn't ban me, if my mental health still carries me, I am genuinely curious to see if the left acknowledges that Bolsonaro did good or not. They will probably never admit it. Like, he's going to be able to, even if he would reduce crime, like if he makes Brazil the safest nation in the world, if he makes Brazil compete economically with the United States, like if he makes all of these things, the left will not acknowledge a single thing that he did. And this is my prediction. Avalok for $2, he's already mobilized the army to kill the gangs. Yeah, it makes sense. Like there's no other way. Like they're out to the teeth. And the problem is that they're going to use civilian population in order to have a shield. Like the gangs are actually going to use civilians in order to hide behind, and that's going to be very bloody, very gruesome, and you're going to see it in the news. There is going to be a case, mark my words. It's impossible not. There's going to be a case where the army hurt an innocent civilian because the gangs use that civilian as a shield, and it's going to be all over the media, and they will blame Bolsonaro for it. I'm already calling it. It's going to happen. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully my prediction doesn't come to pass, but many times I'm right. Let me know what you think. Again, I'll have to delete the stream, and I'll think about making a BitChute account where I just upload the streams over there. Yeah, I showed that thing with the girl licking the hot iron, and that is considered harmful or shocking imagery, and I don't want to risk a community strike. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow.